The primary objective of the Riverside Fire Authority is to provide the highest level of fire protection and emergency medical services possible, subject to the funding resources that taxpayers make available. On May 19, 2009, voters in the areas served by the Riverside Fire Authority will consider an emergency medical services levy. If approved, the EMS levy will provide 25% of Riverside Fire's budget, or approximately $1 million, and continue to provide revenues for advanced life support services throughout the service area. Authorization requires a supermajority or 60% approval vote. The levy would begin in 2010 and continue for a period of 6 years. The Regional Fire Authority Plan, which was approved by voters in November of 2007, identified that Riverside Fire must have an EMS levy in order to continue providing advanced life support services to our community.
In 2008, Riverside Fire responded to 3,385 calls for service. Of those, 2,740 calls were emergency medical related. This was an increase of 5.4% over the number of calls in 2007. Emergency medical services are a series of components designed to work together, providing rapid care and transport in serious medical incidents, such as car crashes, strokes, heart attacks, and respiratory emergencies. A strong EMS system means that citizens have a higher chance of surviving when a medical emergency strikes.
My experience with the cardiac arrest, my name is Arnold Tomaszek. I live on Forge Prairie, and I had a cardiac arrest in the parking lot of Security State Bank on November 5th, 2008.
Advanced life support services delivered by Riverside firefighter paramedics bring a mobile emergency room to the scene of an accident or illness.
My local doctor told me that I was one of the luckiest people in the world because had they not responded when they did, I probably wouldn't be here to tell about it.
The success of advanced life support erodes as time goes by. At 6 minutes, the chances of cardiac resuscitation being successful are less than 50%. The Riverside Fire Authority provides advanced levels of emergency medical care to our citizens by utilizing dual-role firefighter paramedics.
And today I am here telling you my story because had it not been for the response of the paramedics from Forge Prairie in a very short time, they were there in 2.5 minutes. Anything over 5 minutes is critical.
In rural areas served by Riverside Fire, volunteer EMS personnel, when available, will respond and provide a basic level of care until a paramedic arrives on scene. Once arriving on scene, the paramedic often assumes patient care.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Reiswig. I'm the Medical Director of Providence Centralia Emergency Department and President of Lewis County Emergency Physicians. I think there's a few things that are important for us to understand. The first is that there are in fact some medical conditions that when treated rapidly are survivable, but when treatment is delayed, they can result in death. When you call 911 and summon paramedics to your door, they essentially bring a mobile emergency department to your home and are able to treat these emergency conditions and ensure survivability. The Riverside Fire Authority, in an effort to be fiscally responsible, have had to decrease the number of paramedic units to serve the Riverside Fire Authority area. This has inevitably resulted in some delayed response times to people's homes. We are hoping that passage of the EMS levy will allow the Riverside Fire Authority to restore service levels to what they previously were, and thereby ensure that response times are kept at a minimum, and that this may mean that somebody close to you will survive an event that they may not survive if treatment is delayed.
In August of last year, Riverside Fire asked voters to consider an EMS levy to continue the existing level of service currently provided. The levy failed, and unfortunately, the level of service was reduced significantly. The impacts of levy failure have affected the community as follows. Riverside Fire utilizes responders that are able to provide both fire suppression and emergency medical care. The number of on-duty responders was reduced from 6 to 5. The importance of maintaining 3 personnel dedicated to a fire engine is critical. Washington state law is very clear that in order for a fire department to enter into a structure to initiate a civilian rescue, 3 personnel must be on scene. Prior to the levee failure, Riverside Fire was able to provide 2 fire engines with 3 personnel each. Today, we can only provide 1 fire engine with dedicated personnel and volunteer responders when available. In a house fire, fire will double in size every minute. It takes only 8 minutes for a house to become completely involved in a fire scenario. That means that firefighters need to be on scene and working prior to that 8-minute benchmark to achieve life safety rescue and fire extinguishment. Prior to the EMS levy failure, the Riverside Fire Authority was able to staff 3 emergency medical service units. Today, they're only able to staff 2. Frequently, Riverside Fire experiences multiple calls that are minutes apart. The occurrence of multiple calls can exceed our ability to respond in a timely and efficient manner. Decreasing staffing due to the loss of the levee has limited our ability to provide dedicated staffing to respond to your emergency call. In 2009, the expense budget was reduced by over 20% in an effort to focus financial resources on mission essential services, further impacting areas within operations that will result in negative outcomes, such as reduced levels of training for members and deferred maintenance on facilities. Since December 10, 2008, the ability to staff the Harrison Avenue Fire Station with 24-hour response personnel was not possible. All on-duty response personnel were then transferred to the Pearl Street Station to reduce personnel costs and to be located in an area where the highest demand for emergency service is located. During the same time frame, there have been over 280 responses to the service area that have been delayed due to the closure of the Harrison Avenue Fire Station. If approved, levy funding would be utilized as follows. Our first objective will be to restore 24-hour day staffing at the Harrison Avenue Fire Station. We would restore shift staffing strength to 6 response personnel on duty, where currently there are only 5. 2 of those personnel would be firefighter paramedics, which will assist us in responding to your emergency in a timely and efficient manner. 15% of the revenue would be allocated to an EMS capital equipment account to save for expensive equipment replacement items such as heart monitors and medic units. And lastly, these funds will help Riverside Fire's efforts to keep pace with the growing demand for service.
In summary, Riverside Fire is asking for a 6-year levy. If your home has an assessed value of $175,000, that equates to just $7.29 a month, or 24 cents a day.